Hello, Internet. Gino, that Pinguino Greco here again with another episode of Deep Listens.
Is it a new episode or just part 2?
Yeah.
Well, it's part 2.
Yeah.
It's technically a different episode, so
yeah,
it
sure.
is
Whatever.
Wait, is it a different episode? Am I going to have to...
Part 2. We always cut it into 2 parts.
Yeah, I know, but like I've always treated it like part 1 and part 2 of the same episode.
Like it matters?
Yeah, but technically, we're not getting into technicalities about the nature of episodes. But that is the type of content you can come to expect on Deep Listens because that is what we deal. That's what
I'm sure the listeners are like, man, these fuckers will argue about anything.
It's true. This is part 2 of our Pokemon Snap podcast.
Speaking of arguing about anything, Pokemon Snap.
I am joined by the Pokemaniac, Billy Rothert.
I'm sorry, did you just call me the Pokemaniac?
Oh, no.
Yes.
I mean, sure, fine. I'll take it so ZombiePie doesn't have to. Yeah, so welcome back. I'm happy to talk about Pokemon Snap. As far as I'm concerned, this game has no flaws, but apparently we're going to talk about that in a little bit.
I am joined by the Poke Apologist, Peter Busby.
What's going on, everybody? How about a quick Simpsons fact to start off with the second one? You guys might know this one already. So all the characters on The Simpsons have only 3 fingers, except for God. Whenever they draw him, he has 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they do that intentionally, or is that just a weird oversight?
I think somebody did it intentionally, but when they asked, I forget who the guy was, they asked somebody important. He said he doesn't know why. So it wasn't his decision.
Do you mean that they have 3 fingers and a thumb, or like 2 fingers and a thumb? Yeah, okay.
3 fingers and a thumb, yeah.
And we are joined also by Chris, ZombiePie, Redacted, the Poke Fanatic.
Sure, I'll take that award. I mean, I've been called a lot of things. Poke Fanatic is probably the mildest thing I've been called.
And I've heard you brought a fact. You brought an anecdote.
What? No. Kids, you heard it from me first. Put ketchup on white rice. It's the way that the champions eat.
God. That's a bad fact. Just like before, you brought nothing but lies.
Okay, I got another one. Kids, if you don't have barbecue sauce or A1 steak sauce, try ranch dressing on steak. It's a champion's meal.
Oh, God.
You might as well mix like pesto sauce and orange juice.
Oh, Jesus.
Ranch dressing on steak is totally fine. It's a nice little tang with pepper in it. So if you need a little seasoning and you don't got that A1, ranch dressing is a great substitute.
If you don't have eye drops, try lemon juice.
Kids, go to Ruth Chris and ask for ranch dressing. See what happens. See how it goes.
See what happens. Welcome. Can I get ranch dressing for this steak? You can leave is what you can do. You can get the hell out of here before I get my bouncer.
Whatever.
Hang on.
Try going into a Japanese restaurant and asking for ketchup.
I
Just
have
at
to
all.
throw something back right now.
For your tempura.
Hold on. Asian
some
food
ketchup for these chicken
sneakily
fingers?
uses ketchup.
Yes.
Asian food uses ketchup, but not that way.
All right.
And some Asians like to eat their steak with ketchup on it, which is also fine.
I have eaten steak with ketchup. There's nothing wrong. I am fully going to defend
I mean,
any
there's
person.
something wrong.
I'm going to fully defend any person who wants to eat steak anyway, because the way a person eats steak is so personal. Like, you cannot criticize a person's steak eating habits. There's no right way.
Oh, I can.
All right, then fuck.
Doesn't make me right.
I was in the dining hall a while ago, and these kids, they were foreign students, and they were looking at the chicken fingers. They were like, "Ooh, they have fried chicken today." And I was like, "That's right," but so completely wrong like, at the same time.
All right, so ZombiePie, I'm going to jump on your team again and say, kids, if you haven't tried it, if you got some white rice, you just want to spice it up, put some Kool-Aid in that and just drink it.
Can we turn this into a 2-person podcast?
I've done that was my childhood.
Ugh.
Just put Kool-Aid all over your rice and just...
We take your feedback, as always, at Deep Listens Pod or deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com or in the comments section at deeplistens.libsyn.com. If you have any feedback on whether some hosts are dead weight and could be excised, just go ahead, leave that feedback. If you have fun recipes that you'd like to share on our culinary podcast, feel free to leave them.
I want to know how you like your steak.
How I like my
steak.
steak.
No, I'm talking to the listener. Listener, how do you like your steak?
What sort of weird, like maple syrup?
Oh man, I'm actually gonna try some maple syrup.
That
on
actually
steak next
sounds
time.
good.
I'm gonna do that.
Maple bacon's a thing.
Maple bacon is
Maple and meat go well fine. Like,
you like caramelizing the sugars in the meat, and maple syrup is sugary.
Do you know what
what if you caramelize maple syrup?
Do you know what the reactions are called that lead to the caramelization of those sugars in meat that lead to browning?
Is this a new animal fact?
That's just another fact.
Go ahead.
ZombiePie, you got it?
No, I remember Alton Brown explaining it.
Yep.
So once you say
they are the Maillard reactions.
Yes, Maillard.
Yes. Maillard reactions. Thank you.
Yep.
And now we're going to talk about Pokemon Snap.
Let's do it.
So, Pokemon Snap, at the end of part 1, Pete, you asked us about nostalgia.
I did.
Want to serve that up again?
Yeah, let me just relay it. So my question was, we all sort of agreed Pokemon Snap, real good game. And we agreed the mechanics are pretty good too, right? There's some interesting stuff going on. But my next question was, but how much work is nostalgia doing here? How much is the Pokemon brand doing? In other words, would we care that much? Would it be that good of a game if it weren't Pokemon?
I think those are two separate questions.
I would agree as well.
Chop them up.
Part 1, how much does Pokemon matter? And part 2, how much does nostalgia matter?
All right.
So, how much of this is our rose-tinted glasses looking back on our childhoods and saying, this is great, it reminds me of when I was 8 years old, versus, oh, I love Pokemon. I just love Pokemon. I love Pokemon so much that I would love to take pictures of them.
That's a fair distinction. Tell you what, why don't we tackle the first one then? How much is the brand doing?
I think it does a whole lot.
Okay.
So, as we've seen in other games like Africa and what was the other one?
Blue Ocean.
Blue Ocean. Those are both kind of safari games where you are going through an environment, taking pictures of wild animals in their natural habitats, and getting scored on your ability to take pictures of them. And fundamentally, that is the same thing as Pokemon Snap, other than, throwing apples at dudes and pester balls and gassing them with weird poison purple gas stuff. But those games, because you don't have the Pokemon license and you don't have that inherent kind of mystery behind what Pokemon do outside of fighting, all of a sudden explaining what Pokemon look like in the wild has this weird appeal to me. Because in the Pokemon games, all you ever see is tall grass, and then here's a still image of a Pokemon, and then maybe an animation. And that's the extent of your interaction with it. But the knowledge that there's an ecosystem, and these Pokemon actually function and interact with one another, that is the only time outside of fighting that you ever see that.
So, Gino, let me see if I can paraphrase what you're saying, and you tell me if I'm wrong. You're saying Pokemon Snap would be a much better game if we could watch Pokemon mate.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's... Yes.
Okay. All right, yeah.
I mean...
I think we're on the same page.
It would be better if when you left two Pokemon at the... What is it? The
Pokemon daycare center. Yeah.
And they go to Bone Town?
You just get eggs.
And you just get eggs. No.
Or you just get Ditto, and Ditto just bukake's everything.
Yeah.
All these eggs.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. That's why this is a mature podcast.
All right,
bringing the class in this podcast. Thank you very much.
Legitimate follow-up question, though. Legitimate follow-up question. Would Africa be more exciting, not if it were Pokemon, but if Rhinoceri could evolve?
Yes.
If you had mystical creatures, I think Africa would have been more interesting. If you had more than just taking pictures at animals and there was something to uncover by interacting with those animals, you would have a more interesting game. I think kind of what we touched upon in part 1 was the idea that by itself, just taking pictures of Pokemon is kind of okay. It's dull after maybe the second level, but using the items to uncover these Easter eggs, these action shots, and there's even this hidden mystery to all of the levels, that is what actually makes Pokemon Snap far more interesting and above Africa or Blue Ocean.
Yeah, and I think that there's also the fact that there's a degree of the unknown where in Africa and Blue Ocean, you know how those animals behave. You know what they are capable of. You know how they interact. And at most, it can be a poor recreation of reality, a limited recreation of reality. But all of a sudden, there's something exploratory about Pokemon Snap that all of a sudden, like seeing a Meowth get attacked by a Pidgey because it's going to go after their nest, that's actually something that you don't know that Meowths and Pidgeys interact in nature. You don't really know that like a Kangaskhan would be hanging out and looking at flowers, or that Metapods hang out in trees and then kind of go down on lines. Like, you don't see how these creatures move in the real world, or in the quote-unquote real world, in the Poke world. So all of a sudden there's just this element of fleshing out the Pokemon universe, and all of a sudden this game fits nicely into the overall scope of things. So if it was not Pokemon, I don't think it would be as good. Though I think Africa would be a better game if you could throw apples at Wildebeest.
I know that we've been mentioning Blue Ocean a couple of times, but I played Blue Ocean. I completed that entire game. Blue Ocean actually does have a mystery to it, and I know you're never going to play it. The mystery is that there's this secret world where dinosaurs still exist. So there's actually something there that makes it, I think, above Africa as an example. But it's still not the majesty of Pokemon.
It's still not Pokemon Snap.
No, it's still not Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, and so I think that's what makes it so hard to recreate. You need to pick a world if you wanted to make something like Pokemon Snap, which is that is the central question that made me pick this game. Why is this game good, and could anyone make something like it? Is that you need to pick a world where the creatures you're taking pictures of are things you do not actually understand, and so seeing them interact in their world is appealing unto itself. And then being able to interact with that creature fleshes that out even more.
I'm trying to think, too, like what other property you could do this with. But really, Pokemon has this whole thing cornered.
I would play like an Oddworld Snap game.
Sure.
It might not... It might not hit the same magnitude as Pokemon, because, Our doesn't have 150 Pokemon, collect them all and all that shit. But something that was like an Oddworld game, or I don't know, think of some other game where like the critters matter.
But aren't they all anthropomorphic
Digimon.
in Oddworld?
If there was a Digimon Snap game, all right, fine. Like, it would try.
No, because they talk.
Yeah,
they're anthropomorphized again.
Yeah, that's the problem. I don't want to hit something with an apple if it's going to curse at
It's like, hey, dude, what the hell?
Or like if they're actually living their lives and you're just going through taking pictures. Like Stranger, I don't think would be very thrilled with you taking pictures of him.
We know that part of the appeal of... Okay, so I need to reference Pete's original 2 questions was, is it brand or is it nostalgia? And I think that's what the questions boil down to, right? Am I missing anything fundamental? All right, brand or nostalgia? What makes this game successful? I say brand mainly because I'm not saying nostalgia.
Well, they're 2 separate questions.
Yeah.
Brand is why was it successful when it came out. Nostalgia is why do we still love it?
Definitely. Like, the brand when on its release date is why it was successful. Like, people were ready to eat up anything Pokemon related when it got released. There was like a good 5-8 years where whatever Pokemon put out was just gold, right? And so yeah, that's why it became successful in 99. Why is it successful today? I don't think nostalgia is its like main contributing factor. I think it's that it has done only one thing that no other game could have done since then. And it's the brand that, like, if it wasn't Pokemon brand doing this, it wouldn't have been the same effect, right? I
think that other series that could get away with it, like, I think long-running series with established casts of creatures, like Dragon Warrior, I think would be able to do it. Or Dragon, it is Dragon Warrior, right?
Yeah, I thought you were going to try to shoehorn Final Fantasy into this.
Yeah, or Final Fantasy.
Just
or
Cactuar and Moogles and Chocobos could do some cute stuff. I would play like a Legend of Zelda Snap game with Gorons and Zora and all that stuff.
Oh God, why is this happening?
I didn't want to do this. I to be perfectly honest, I think it's possible to just create your own original property with fantastical original creations. I think that's possible. I think it's possible to create just a fantasy world where you're trying to catalog things.
But it's got to be fantasy, right? It's got to be fantasy, right?
Maybe.
Either that or Rhinoceri have to be way more interesting.
I mean, if we're being blunt, you could possibly do like
3 horns,
the animals of Harry Potter or the Lord of the
Rings, that's a good point.
anything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I was thinking just video game properties, but you're right. Harry Potter would work probably for this format really well.
What is that new movie that's coming out?
Fantastical Creatures or Fantastical Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Oh man, they could make that game and it ties into the movie, and you have to picture all of the beasts. Oh man, we need
somebody copyright.
We need to get like dividends for this idea.
Seriously, man.
Oh,
I'm gonna throw a pester ball at Hagrid.
Oh, Hagrid
was so pestered.
Hagrid would be Professor Oak in this game. Oh man,
had to be. Man, I think you need to just talk to Warner Brothers.
Why is this game not being made?
Who says it isn't? It could be behind closed doors. Are we all going to get killed now because we know too much?
Yeah, we maybe know too much. We have to go into hiding.
This is a great picture.
Listeners, if we die, you need to avenge us now.
So I have a question kind of related to the two that you have. Is it possible for someone to play Pokemon Snap that knows jack about Pokemon, and would they be able to enjoy this game?
That's a great question. I would love to try that experiment, but
it's impossible at this point.
In the world we
I think little kids that are our age might
Hang on.
anything
that
about...
happened. There was like a YouTube series called like Kids React to Games, and they got a bunch of like 7-year-olds who'd never really played a Pokemon game to play Pokemon Snap. They all had a good time, but they didn't really know what the game was about. So we could.
This game leans hard on the brand.
I was like, could we find a 25-year-old though who didn't know anything about Pokemon, and
we'd have to go to another country.
We have to go to another planet, man.
Yeah, probably.
That's like they try to do studies on how pornography affects relationships.
Oh,
they can never find sufficient control groups.
We have not been able to find a relationship unexposed to pornography.
Yeah.
So I guess if any of our listeners has never played Pokemon Snap before and is not familiar with the Pokemon legacy, write in, play it, and then write in, because we would love. That would be fascinating.
Maybe Finland can help us out on this one. How big is it over there?
Yeah, Finland. Our Finnish listeners, we know you're there.
We have the statistics.
We have the statistics that show that we have listeners in Finland. Scandinavia, we're huge in Scandinavia. Oddly huge. But I guess the second part of the question, how much of a role does nostalgia play? I think nostalgia plays a big role in my ability to accept the control scheme, my ability to accept the graphics, but not necessarily the gameplay, because nothing else plays like it other than those 3 games we mentioned.
Yeah, it might be a good distinction to draw there.
I didn't have a problem with the controls because it took me 2 seconds to find out that you could change them and make them better for you. I didn't have a problem with the graphics because I know it's an N64 game, and I'm walking in with that assumption. You know, you play a game like Ocarina of Time or Banjo-Kazooie, and the graphics aren't that great compared to now, but those games hold up amazingly. So I'm not going to hold graphics against Pokemon Snap. I'm not going to hold controls against an N64 game.
That's why I'm saying nostalgia has a play. Like, having a familiarity and a love of that era of graphics and controls and that controller in the first place... It plays a strong role in your ability to enjoy it, because, like, I played with when I was playing, my sister played alongside, and anytime she tried to play it, she just had a miserable time because the camera is moving the camera is a little sluggish. It isn't the most precise zoom out, so she had problems lining up shots, and the game's kind of ugly by modern standards. But I'm willing to look past that because I can have like 7 Charmanders just waddling around on screen at the same time.
I mean, I was saying that I would be willing to look past that if this wasn't a Pokemon game. If this game was something other than Pokemon, I would just know that in context, it had certain rules that it was operating by.
Right, think of the ones you compared it to, like Banjo-Kazooie, Ocarina of Time. Those are like all-time games, right? Like, there's a lot of schlock for the N64 we never look back on because the platform, well, not solely.
Not just the platform. Also, Superman 64 is hot garbage.
Yeah, like
it's one of the worst games ever made.
Yes, there are some games. The N64 has a lot of very bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of schlock.
Yeah, but there's a lot of platforms that have garbage games. You mean you're making like a generalization that's not going to do anything pro or con against Pokemon Snap.
No, I'm saying your analogy though. I feel like you cherry-picked 2 examples.
All right, I did cherry-pick, but here's another game, something like Conquer Bad Fur Day games. You know, those games don't hit any like top charts, but they're still really, really good and creative.
Right,
you know,
so
basically anything by Rare in that time zone was like pretty good. Something like Crash Bandicoot or Spyro back in that like era was also kind of pixely and garbage. Games like Glover actually had better graphics and mechanics, and it came out like around this time.
Yeah, it did.
But games like Pokemon Snap, I'm not going to hold its graphics and controls against it.
Let me rephrase that sentence. Glover took over the world around this time.
Glover was a fucking good game.
Bouncing balls.
Anyway.
Walking on. Okay.
So we had this initial question, nostalgia or brand. And here's why I say it's not nostalgia for me, because I could have gotten nostalgia just by playing red or blue or yellow or something. I could have gotten nostalgia by playing one of the old games. I could get nostalgia by looking at my Pokemon cards. But like this game, and I think Gino touched on this too, brought to life the world in a way that no Pokemon game has done since, and no Pokemon experience did before. Because anytime we saw them in a Pokemon movie, like a Pokemon animated feature film, it was really about the human characters.
Which they're all wonderful. You should watch every single one of them, just like
good.
me.
I probably still have them on dusty VHSs somewhere.
Yeah, you do. Hell yeah, you do.
Hell yeah, I do. But it's about the humans and their interaction with Pokemon. So we see the human side of things, not their natural habitat side of things, right? So this is the first and only time we get this like perspective on Pokemon. It makes them so much more real, and no game has done it before. No game had done it since. So it's the only time we get this particular experience, and that's why it's good, not just nostalgia.
So does that mean that this game's going to be in the running for Pete's award next year against anthropocentrism, whatever that was?
No, because it's still sort of pretty human focused. The Pokemon serve an instrumental value to you and Oak.
That's true.
Yeah.
Professor Oak wants you to, it's fainted. Great picture. Hit it with apples.
You did great.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Fucking Oak, man.
Fucking Oak.
I think that
What's he actually really doing with those pictures?
We know. We all know. We just don't like to say it.
We just don't have a control group for this kind of study, you know?
And one last point on nostalgia. I didn't actually play this game until now. I've seen this game before, so there was some nostalgia through osmosis, just by being in the world and having seen people play Pokemon Snap. But for me, it was not nostalgia-driven. It was mostly the brand.
Fair.
Like, I have no nostalgia for the graphics of Pokemon Snap and that time and the active playing.
But that Mankey. Did you see that Mankey?
I did see that Mankey.
Or that Pikachu on that surfboard, son.
I don't know why Pikachu on a stump got more points than Pikachu on a surfboard.
I know, right? It's a solid 300 more
shit.
points.
Should we go to favorites now?
But
No. The special bonus, like the first thing you get, the line is Pikachu on a surfboard, 1,000 points. Pikachu on a stump, 1,300. What are you thinking, Oak?
Oak likes stumps, bro.
Get out of here.
He loves stumps. He likes. I think it's mostly because you need a pester ball, and that's further along in the game.
Fine,
so better
sure.
equipment.
That makes sense.
And you see that surfboard, and you know that there's going to be a Pokemon on that surfboard. The stump, you'd think maybe, whatever.
I used to have.
And then there's two Pikachus, and you're like, what?
Two of them?
So what did you guys? So what was your best picture? That's actually.
According
to Professor Oak, and then in your heart.
Two Magmars, according to Professor Oak.
Okay. The two Magmars is probably what I originally had. I finally got the 3 Jigglypuffs on
that's a really
the Island Cave.
What?
Yeah, you can get 3 Jigglypuffs. It's the. So we talked about how the controls are what they are. When they ask for a level of precision, they are the most frustrating controls ever. I think I was banging my head on the wall trying to get the Squirtles on the Island Valley over and over again, because you have to hit them just right. Otherwise, they just go off to oblivion and you don't see them at the end. And the 3 Jigglypuffs singing their song ended up being my highest scoring picture. Okay. But it was such a pain in the ass to do that.
Wait, so you get 3 by each of those times the Coughing's chasing
the Jigglypuff? Yes, each time the Coughings are chasing the Jigglypuff, you have to time it just right, and if you knock those Coughings, at the end, all 3 of them will be singing at the stage, and you get the most amount of points if you save all of the Jigglypuffs. And then it's also 3 Jigglypuffs in the same scene, and it's a special bonus.
I thought it was the same Jigglypuff 3 times, and I was just like, "Look, I saved you, Jigglypuff."
Stop messing with us coughing.
And then
they're no good for you.
The other garbage thing is that not every level has a special photograph opportunity, which I, looking back on it, didn't realize that until now, but every single level should have at least one.
Yeah.
It doesn't?
No.
Really?
So the island, it was the 2 obvious ones. It was the surfing Pikachu and then the Pikachu on a stump.
Yep.
The tunnel doesn't have one. The tunnel does
there's Meowth getting
that does not count as a special bonus.
Wait, what does the tunnel not have?
The tunnel does not have a special bonus.
Oh, no. There's Pidgey using Gust. Pidgey using Gust counts.
Did you actually get a bonus for that?
Yeah, you get a bonus.
Okay.
No.
It's not Pidgey using Gust.
It's not a special.
It's not a special. That's just an action.
Pose?
That's just a pose bonus.
It's like Electrode exploding. Like you get points for that, but it's not a special.
It's not a special bonus. So
Just
there's
action.
nothing in the tunnel level that's a special bonus.
I thought Pikachu always gets I thought there's always a special Pikachu bonus.
No.
I thought that was the through line, because there's Pikachu using Dash. What do you get for the Pikachu with the Zubat? Do you have to hit the Zubat with a...
If we're talking about it, that's my favorite, personally. You hit him with a Pester Ball, you get Balloon Pikachu.
Yeah.
No, there is one. There's a special in the tunnel. It's Pikachu riding on the Electrode.
Is that a special?
Yeah, it's called Pikachu on a Ball.
Maybe you're right.
Because you have to do it like right at the start. The very first little Pikachu there, you have to do it real quick, and you get him to run away, and then he jumps on top of the Electrode that's rolling.
Okay. So, I guess
it's the only one in that level, though. It's a pretty lame level as far as specials is concerned.
Do we want to just go through all the levels real quick?
I just want to, real quick, everyone who did not get a chance to say what was their best picture.
Oh, okay, all right.
So, Billy, your best picture was?
I think mine was Flying Pikachu. I was able to get that one.
Yeah.
A really good Flying Pikachu one on the Articuno.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think... Yeah, and Pete, yours was the
2
Balloon
Magmars.
Pikachu.
Balloon was my favorite.
And ZombiePie?
I also got Articuno, but I don't know if I got a good picture of it. I think it's still the 3 Jigglypuffs.
Yeah, that's actually a really easy one to get a huge score on because it starts off as a special. It's like a 1,000 or 1,300 point special just at the start. If you get him in the frame, it's doubled. If you get a good size, I was
never able to get a good size on it.
It's hard to get size because they're kind of fixed. You can't make them come closer.
Yeah, mine was Stump Pikachu was my best score, and then my favorite was probably either the gang of Charmanders.
Charmander Squad.
When I made a Charmander evolve into a Charmeleon.
Did you do that with the Magmar earlier?
Yeah. I made it fight. I made a Magmar burn it.
I wish we could have gotten points for mid-evolutions.
Yep.
I
really enjoyed every time you made a Pokemon evolve not by accident. Well, sometimes by accident, sometimes by design. Like hitting that Charmeleon with a apple and knocking him into lava.
Yeah.
And then he comes out and he's all pissed.
Or if you just hit the Grimer with enough Pester Balls.
Yeah.
He'll turn into a muck.
Can you make Bulbasaurs evolve? No, right?
No.
I think so.
I don't think you can because you can't make Squirtle either, can you?
No.
Yeah,
and it's because they never evolve in the show.
That's a good point. Charizard's the only one who does evolve.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's crazy. So I think based on the specials, it's getting to a recurring theme that I found playing the game. They love Pikachu a lot.
They do love Pikachu a lot.
Pikachu is in every level, and in every level, Pikachu's doing some other, look, I'm surfing. Look, I can run real fast.
Wait.
Look.
Was Pikachu in the volcano level? I don't think Pikachu was not in the volcano level.
Okay, every level except the volcano. Pikachus can't survive in the heat of a volcano.
Yeah.
I'm sure Professor Oak tried to find out.
I mean, maybe we could find one if we looked again. And it's just Pikachu just electrifying Magmars.
I'm pretty sure there's no Pikachu in the volcano level.
There's no Pikachu in the volcano level. 99% sure.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But as a Pokemon, I understand that Pikachu is the face of the Pokemon
He
franchise.
sucks.
And Jigglypuff.
But he sucks.
He sucks.
I hate him.
All right, Billy, you said you played Yellow, right?
Yeah.
Does the Pikachu in Yellow get better stats?
No.
No.
It just follows you around.
It just follows you around and
The shit Pokemon.
You can actually
and
just
refuses to evolve.
you can just turn it into a regular Pikachu by like depositing it into the computer and you withdraw it, and then like for the rest of the game it doesn't follow you anymore, and it's just a regular Pikachu in your fucking team, you know?
You know what I did? I put it in that machine and left it there because it's a Pikachu. And screw that.
it's also not the best starting Pokemon because electricity isn't really useful until later in the game. Well, you could say the second gym is water, but you're pretty much screwed from that point forward.
It also sucks because it's a Pikachu. It's not even a good. It's not good.
Yeah, that's
Machamp.
I always wondering, like, why pick that for the face of your franchise?
Because that's who
adorable.
the voice actor was for the animated series. Ash had a Pikachu.
Right, but why?
Pika Pika.
Like, they could have picked any Pokemon.
It's the cutest, I guess.
It is cute. So is
I
It's the most
I don't know.
identifiably animal.
it is just an electric mouse.
Is it an electric mouse or a rat? No, Raichu is a rat. Pikachu is a mouse.
It's a mouse. Yes.
It has a unique.
People love mice.
It has a unique vocalization too.
Pika Pika.
Of the original 150, Pikachu's the only one that makes a noise that isn't its name.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
I see.
Yeah.
So, I guess what other stuff do we want to hit on Pokemon Snap? Is there anything we are missing? I guess we could
you
go
guys
over like
said that
special
there
interactions.
A bad part of this game, and I disagree.
No,
Yeah, we talked
should,
about how shitty the last level was.
should we
Oh,
go
yeah.
through all of the levels and kind of talk about how it builds up to this mystery that ultimately doesn't pay off in the end?
Yes, I think that's a good direction to go. So, the first level, the beach.
Great level.
Beach,
Great level.
beach.
Great
Learn.
No flaws.
There's 2 special shots. You can get Surfing Pikachu and then Pikachu on a stump.
A lot of cool Pokemon too. Scyther, Kangaskhan, Snorlax.
You go through that level and there are Pokemon that you can't interact with yet, and it's like, oh man, how do I get
up Snorlax?
what's this thing in the bushes? What is that? Why is Eevee chasing after this giant
What's that thing in the
ball?
bushes? It's Oak. What's Oak doing in the bushes?
Hi. And then
You
there's
got me.
the Lapras in the distance.
Yeah.
Like, they do some nice stuff with the horizon.
Yeah, they do a lot of great horizon and foreshortening in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once you go back with the different items, that is the level that most benefits from going back with items, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
And as it should be, it's the first level.
You can save that Meowth from those Pidgeys. You can
Get Scyther.
get some Magikarp and remind yourself how that Pokemon is garbage. Scyther,
There it is.
Snorlax, Butterfree.
Kangaskhan.
Yep.
They're-
Yeah.
And
There's
then
Can you
pretty
get
good Pokemon there.
How close can you get Lapras?
You have to take. So Lapras is in the
It's like a whole
distance
thing.
in 3 sets, and if you take a picture of Lapras when it's far away 3 times, near the end of the course, she pops up at the very end near the portal.
Okay. That's how you get her to pop up. I thought I just needed to throw apples
No.
at her.
throw a pester ball like 30 miles into the distance.
You have
So-
I
to
was like,
I had
get a better arm.
This is kind of a weird side note, but I had a hard time doing some stuff in this game because I played it on an emulator because I couldn't get my N64 to work properly.
horrible pirate. You pirate.
I mean, I didn't have a choice really. I tried to play on my
know.
N64. Like I had the cartridge, I had the N64. I couldn't get it to work right. And
You always have a choice.
It's on the Wii Virtual Console, son.
all right.
on-
So I emulated it, and there was like a bug, and like no emulator could fix it. But
Are you thinking about Beedrill?
no, I'm
That's
thinking
not
about a feature of the game that was missing that made me not able to actually complete it. Right. So when you guys snap a picture, there's like a little like zoom crosshair thing when you snap a picture, and if you're over a Pokemon, the middle of it turns red, and then it'll say what Pokemon it is. And that thing was turned off. Like the little red dot and saying what Pokemon it was like turned off, and you can never turn it back on. And what that did was none of those picture-taking states ever occurred. Like some stuff is triggered by taking a picture of a Pokemon, and I'd take a picture, and the Pokemon would be there, and I'd get really good scores, but the Pokemon in the level never knew that I took a picture of it. Oak did, but the Pokemon never knew, and so I couldn't get any state-based picture-taking stuff, and I also could never get the Pokemon sign, so I could never do the last level. But I did the last level on my original playthroughs, and I know that it's a good level.
So what you're saying to me is you haven't experienced it as an adult, so your vision is tainted.
No, my vision is perfect because I was a completionist from day one, so I know everything about that level.
Yeah, we all played it, but it sucks.
Okay, let's get to the second level.
The tunnel sucks.
Second level.
The tunnel
sucks too.
Tunnel is the worst out of the first levels, like the original
doing
6.
That generator and trying to get the auxiliary power on is such a pain. It was a pain for me when I was a kid, and it was a pain trying to go through. I played it on the Virtual Console version because I don't know where my N64 was, so I used the Wii remote.
The tunnel level is the best at needing you to do like certain setups for the whole level. It requires like the most level setups, I think. So like props to that, but outside of it, it has basically no merit.
There's not enough Pokemon. There's not enough discovery. There's not enough cool stuff to interact with. I think there are only like 2 or 3 Pokemon that you can use Pester Balls or Apples with, other than the generator, which, like I said, is not a lot of fun to use that generator, to turn it on and take the picture of the shadow in the background.
So, yeah. Let me defend Tunnel for a second, though. Tunnel has Electabuzz, which is the funniest Pokemon in the whole game.
Dude.
He just runs around making weird noises with his arms over his head. Electabuzz is hilarious.
It is great to hit him with your car.
Yeah, he's like, and he shocks you.
He does. He's not thrilled about it when you hit him with your car.
Electabuzz is the best.
That is a strong point. I hear your defense. However, that level is trash. Yeah. The Magmites suck.
Getting the Magmites, the 3 of them together in order to get the Magneton is not fun.
Nope. I think that is the level that shows interactability is actually the fun part. Like taking the pictures is fun.
There's the Magnemite. There's also the Diglett that you can turn into the Dugtrio.
How do you do that?
You have to take a photo of a Diglett and have the Diglett that's near the Pikachu play with each other. And if you can take a picture of the Diglett and the Pikachu playing with each other, eventually the Pikachu will come across a Dugtrio. Yeah, so you have to keep... the Pikachu keeps playing with Digletts, and eventually the Pikachu leads you to a Dugtrio.
Okay. Because I didn't get that one to work. But
that's also a good photograph. If you can do that enough times, you can get 3 Dugtrios to pop out from the ground, and then you get super bonus.
Wow.
So what's 3? We have Tunnel sucks. What's the third?
Volcano.
Good level.
Volcano is probably my favorite.
The 2 Magmar is probably one of the more awesome special shots that you can take. These 2 Magmars
just
fighting each other, knocking each other out.
Yeah. And you get Charizard there. Charizard's a solid one.
Charizard is one of the greatest Pokemon.
Arcanine's one of my favorite Pokemon. Like, it's absolutely my favorite fire type is Arcanine, and you get Arcanine in that one. So.
Is there? That's Gary's, right?
Yeah. And then Magikarp is here for some reason.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
One of your best Magikarp candidates comes from Volcano level.
Yeah.
Magikarp.
Can you do anything with the Vulpixes?
Yeah.
I kept hitting them with apples.
You can bring them all together. There's 3 of them, and then they'll do a little dance.
Yeah.
Oh, they dance?
But that's about
Vulpix dance. I wish you could have made a Ninetales.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping. I was like, get to the ledge of the lava. I'm going to hit you with this apple.
Yeah, you can't make a Ninetales, I think. I think there's a list of every Pokemon. I have a list of every Pokemon that you could take a picture of, so I know like what you can and can't make.
No Ninetales.
The Rapidash is where you can really use the Rapidash to get a lot of bonus points for multiple Pokemon, because there will be random Rapidashes in the far foreground and background.
Oh yeah.
Little sprint by.
Yeah.
Volcanoes 3.
Yep.
Next one is the swamp, or the island
called River.
River.
Called River.
Yeah.
Sounds good. It's got a lot of good water stuff.
That's my favorite level. Because
It's also a tough level if
it's
you
tricky.
want to try and get everything.
Why
Although the hardest. Go ahead.
Why does Cloyster float?
I don't know.
It's out of its it's out of its shell.
All right, whatever. That's fine.
All right, so you get Bulbasaurs in that level, which is one of my favorite. I mean, that was a starter that I first picked. Bulbasaur was my first starter.
I'm sorry. When you're picking your Pokemon, I want to have a dragon or a giant lizard monster, not a plant dog thing for my ultimate. Yeah, exactly, right?
Squirtle, it's got cannons in its shoulders.
Exactly.
It's about stat distribution, Gino. The fires have the best stat distribution.
I hate everything.
There's a flying.
Go ahead, Billy.
There's a flying Pikachu here.
There's one here. There's also Speed Pikachu is here.
Mm-hmm.
Which is hard to take a picture of.
Yeah.
You can't center it.
It's also
so fast.
pain in the ass to get that Pikachu, and then it's also hard to take a picture of it because it doesn't actually come up to you. And for some goddamn reason, there's a Porygon here. Why is there a Porygon? I thought Porygon was in a video game and it was an artificial Pokemon.
Whatever, man. Just let it rock.
There are multiple
Hang on,
Porygons.
Meta. It is in a video game.
Ooh. Todd Snap.
So if we're to take this game as the textbook of how Pokemon live in the wild, Porygons are just jutting out of rocks, just manipulating matter and reality.
What they're doing is they're clipping out of bounds, like Porygons always do, and they are adapting the textures of the video game.
So according to Pokemon Snap, Porygon is God, not Arceus, I guess?
Yes, because they clearly are bending the laws of reality. Either that or they are a Cthulhu-like unknowable monster.
So, anywho's, I think River's the best because it has the coolest setups, I think. It's got the coolest state-based setups, and I like all the Pokemon that are in there a lot.
You can hit a Psyduck with an apple. That's pretty great.
It can make him shiny.
Slowpoke into a Slowbro.
Yeah.
True.
That's pretty good.
It's one of your only actual canon evolution things. You know,
that's a good point.
That's part of actual Slowpoke evolution. I don't think anywhere in the canon it's like, hey, if you just shoot a flamethrower at a Charmeleon, it'll become a Charizard because you burned it to death. I don't think that's how it actually works.
If you throw 7 Pester Balls into a whirlpool, Dragonite appears.
Yeah, that's not how the canon works. But this is at a moment where you actually get a Slowpoke doing the tail fishing thing. Its name Shelder bites it, becomes a Slowbro.
Side note, just a brief one. Do you guys remember that episode of the cartoon with the 30-story tall Dragonite showed up?
Yeah.
That was terrifying. That noise it made, oh my god.
And then Team Rocket pulls out bazookas and starts shooting that fucking thing.
Bazookas.
Oh man, that's a great episode.
There's a couple episodes that are banned because of firearm usage.
Yeah, there's the Safari Zone episode.
Safari Zone one's banned, yeah.
James dresses up as a lady in a couple of episodes.
There's one where a Tentacruel destroys 2 buildings that resemble the Twin Towers.
Yep.
That one is banned.
All right.
Oh my god.
There's some banned episodes of Pokemon.
Pokemon, the animated series, is a real interesting thing.
The Porygon episode's bad because it gave kids seizures.
Yeah, it gave seizures.
Because they decided to have a frame-for-frame red-blue flash. Way to go, guys.
Great idea. A wonderful idea.
So the next level
is
Cave.
The Island Cave.
Which is
my favorite level. I don't know if anyone else agrees.
Cave is my favorite level, too.
It has the most special photographs. You either have a choice. You have choice between Balloon Pikachu or Articuno.
Yeah.
Flying Pikachu, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Plus the Jigglypuff.
There's the Jigglypuff, which is probably one of the harder.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to get.
It's a real tough one.
You get Weeping Bell into Victory Bell too.
Yeah.
that's a
Yep.
good one.
And you have two of my favorite Pokemon, Coughing and Zubat.
Why?
Wait,
Those
what?
are your
You like Coughing and
That's
I
the
like
craziest thing you've
Coughing.
said in this podcast.
I like Coughing. I really like Coughing. And Zubat has a special part in my heart because it was the first Pokemon card that I ever got.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
fair
That's the
enough. But
only
Coughing?
reason to like Zubat.
Coughing was a part of Team Rocket, and he
Yes.
was always there to support James.
All right,
He was always there.
Voice too.
Coughing was like the ride or die Pokemon, I guess. He was always there. So
Plus, I
just-
was always a status effect person when I played Pokemon.
Ugh.
Coughing had like a skull and crossbones on his chest. Like you knew, like
Yeah, he was
I mean,
so
thinking
down.
He's down to go.
he's a warrior.
He's ready to explode.
Are you gonna tell me you like Muck too?
Muck.
Is that what's about
Actually,
to happen?
Muck is a really good metagame because Toxic is
So good against birds.
too legit to quit. Muck's Toxic can really. It's not a sweeper because in the games like Alakazam is probably one of the
In
best.
Gen 1, Alakazam has the highest special. Dragonite has the highest base attack. Cloyster has the highest base defense. Chansey has the highest
HP.
Who's got
The electrical
speed?
No,
Electrode.
No, it's not Electrode. It's the evolution of
Jolteon?
Jolteon. The evolution of the little dog
Eevee.
thing. Eevee.
Eevee.
The electric
Yeah,
that had the highest there.
I thought it was
And
Electrode, but I don't know.
Persian had the highest critical hit. And then if we count Mewtwo and Mew, they also are the most powerful Pokemon.
Yeah, but it's kind
should-
of not fair.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't count them.
I think like Dragonite was one of the best as far as its it had like some of the best distribution of stats. Dragonite's a fucking good Pokemon.
Sure, yeah. Dragonite's pretty good, but
Gyarados
again,
has really good distribution too.
So Pete,
Yo.
I think you made a great point about the verticality of
Yes.
Cave.
Yeah.
Goes up and down.
That actually threw me. Of all the levels, that threw me the most.
Yeah.
That I was actually moving up and down, and it changed the way I had to think about what I needed to point my camera
They
at.
could have done a little bit more with the spatial distribution of the levels, now that I think
Yeah.
about it. They are, for the most part, just linearly horizontal.
Except for Cave.
Except for Cave.
Mhm.
That's why it's my favorite.
Yep, Cave and
Valley.
I guess the river.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Valley
a little
twisted
bit.
and turned a lot.
Yeah.
I don't like the Valley.
Valley 6. So that's our next one anyway.
It's okay. I feel like Valley's
Valley
was
too
cool.
fast. It's too quick. It's
It's
frustrating.
supposed to be kind of the hard mode. And you're right. I think it took a little bit away from the game that you couldn't stop and enjoy the aesthetic. But I think it was supposed to be like this is the final standard level. You better be ready to be on point with your passer balls and be ready to take some good shots because you don't have a lot of time.
But like that Staryu flying around at like 90,000 miles an hour.
It's also little.
Yeah,
It's a really short level, and
like Dratini's
again, there
just
are
popping
multiple
out.
parts of this level that require a level of precision that I don't think the N64 controller is capable of, like trying to get the squirrels by hitting the balls or the apples so that they go up the hill. That was
I'm still saying that this game has no flaws.
That's like River is a level you gotta like gear yourself up. to
Valley?
do, like just
Valley.
Valley. Sorry.
Yeah, Valley.
Yeah.
Gear yourself up to do just one thing. Like, all right, I'm just gonna hit the Staryus this time, and then you disregard.
yeah,
Yeah.
I guess you're right. And that's
Yeah.
part of the reason why I was never good at Valley, because I wanted to do multiple things. I wanted to evolve the Magikarp into Gyarados.
That's
I
one of
was-
your best pictures too.
That is a badass.
Yeah,
gear.
that is a really good picture too.
You were too ambitious.
That's it.
How do you evolve the Magikarp? Does it go into the
Okay,
whirlpool?
so if
Waterfall.
the Magikarp splashes around in the beginning and you knock it out of the water, it will splash towards a Mankey. Then you have to have that Mankey punch it,
like punch it around like across the valley.
and then
Because of course.
it punches it into the air, and then you encounter that Magikarp later, flopping around, and you have to hit it with a Pester Ball to flop it back into the water, into the waterfall, and then it evolves into Gyarados saying, "You mother!" And then it's
flies
just
out.
yelling. Yeah, it flies off.
Then it
Gyarados,
hyper beams Mankey, and he dies.
Pokemon
Starmie,
can't die.
trying to get Starmie.
Starmie is real good though. That's a good
Yeah.
pick.
But it's tough to. It's a pain to get Starmie.
And then when you get all the Pokemon shots, when you find the secret monuments, your reward.
So
I loved the monuments. I loved how it changed.
How did you discover the monuments? Because I recall me being a kid that wanted to see everything in the game. I just bought a guide for this game and just boom, 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 went through everything.
As an adult who played this the first time, there were some things that like I found some of the monuments by accident the first time I was playing through the levels, and it was like question mark. I'm like, okay, this is a thing that'll matter later, and some of the levels, like tunnels, just have so little going on that
anything out of the ordinary must be a monument.
It must be something. It has to be doing something. So when I saw that huge section,
like that heap of like broken pieces and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Once you see those heap of things, I'm like, okay, this has to be something. There's nothing else going on here. There's nothing to take a picture of except for this garbage. So it has to do something eventually.
Getting the special picture in tunnel is such a pain. It's so annoying.
It is annoying. This is true.
I think the one that I took the longest to get during my first playthrough or my childhood playthroughs, because like I said, I couldn't actually get the signs in this current playthrough. But the emulator could let me unlock all the levels, so I was able to, I could still do stuff. Was the constellation. Because I didn't understand what it was when I was a kid. Like it was the last one that I noticed.
What the hell is Mewtwo doing in this game? Mewtwo is artificially created in Cinnabar Island by Team Rocket. Technically doesn't exist in nature.
You think Todd Snap gives a fuck what exists in nature?
Todd Snap's just trying to take pictures and get money.
Todd Snap doing what he wants.
How does Mew... So does Mew create all of these monuments? That was the thing... So did Mew create a star constellation towards his evil brother that he fights and tries to kill?
Also,
was Mew in space?
Wasn't Ho-Oh in episode 1?
Yeah, technically yes.
So like, I feel like they already broke some pretty serious rules. Like, not broke rules. If I'm gonna like say that.
So the Poke Cannon's not Poke consistent.
Yeah,
that's fine.
It's not Poke consistent.
And then there's the 7th level.
It's fine. Lord. It's good.
It's a travesty.
It is atrocious.
It's a perfectly fine level.
Everything builds up to this level. And somehow Professor Oak's able to transport you into space.
Is that it? It is space, right?
It's called the Rainbow Cloud, so it's in space somehow.
Rainbow Road, we're fine.
It literally looks like the Rainbow Road from Mario Kart 64.
Yeah, we're fine, boys. Good level.
We've got this level we made. We don't worry about it, guys. The Mario Kart team has got us.
Good level.
They've got a level ready.
It seemed like it was like proof of concept, and then they were like, you know what? We got it. Let's ship it out.
Exactly. We don't. How's it testing with kids? They love Mew. Okay, then it's great.
Let's do it.
Hit it with apples till its shields drop, and then when its shields drop, you take a picture of it. But all the way down the canyon because
it's constantly moving really fast.
Moves too fast.
Yeah, it's just
all right, you guys didn't know how to play the level. Then let me just tell you how this level's played.
I know how to play the level.
I knew how to play the level.
The game ended when I took the picture of the Mew, so I think I played it.
You gotta break its shield and then stun lock it by sniping it like 20 times with pester balls while rocketing towards it.
I got that part too.
And that all sucked.
You get close to it and you get like a perfect, like you have to, it's perfect.
Is it perfect?
It demands all of your skills.
Remember when you said nostalgia did not play a strong part?
You're right,
in your
it doesn't. Because you know what? I'm about that grind, Gino. And when a game challenges me, I rise to the occasion. God damn it.
I'm okay with games challenging me. But when a game asks me to do 4 or 5 things real quick in quick succession, and I have to use it with a Nintendo 64 controller, we got a problem. We got a big problem.
That's true. Also, Professor Oak is fine getting his sick jollies from my picture of Mew from 20 feet away. He's fine.
He probably enjoyed it that way. Grainy, out of focus. He's a creeper.
That way his imagination can take care of the rest.
Can fill in the rest. You know when he says, like, Oh, it doesn't like being photographed from behind. I'm just going to get rid of it. Where do those pictures go? He doesn't give them back. He just wants them. He just wants you to not ask about them. Oh, I did a really bad job, I guess. Nope.
Oak's pissed. I better not mention this photo again.
Nope. 50 points, he says. He's lying.
It's less about the level and more about how the game builds up, and it's all building up to Mew. And I guess that kind of makes sense, the 150 first Pokemon. But what if that level had all of the legendary Pokemon? Like Ho-Oh.
Anything. What if when you threw the ball, like the food, like Pokemon jumped up? Or what if it took place in a more visually interesting location?
That wasn't Rainbow Road from Mario Kart 64.
Yeah.
Featureless.
What if it took place like behind it? You went behind a waterfall, and then there was a big crystalline cave with Mew and some other Pokemon.
Yeah, some like
something.
puzzle like you've been solving to get to this new part of a level. That's
Exactly.
like
The part.
Yeah.
It's just such a disconnect from everything else that's fun about the game. The fun of the game is not hitting things with apples precisely and then maybe getting a picture if you get the snap off fast enough. It's triggering these weird events, these weird interactions between the Pokemon, and that's what I felt was sorely lacking. Also, as soon as you finish that level, it says "Way to go, you beat the game," and then it fades to black basically. So you don't get to go back to the level screen.
No, and that's the problem whenever you want to replay Rainbow Cloud. When I played Rainbow Cloud again, it's automatically cuts to black no matter what. So if you want to go back and it's like, no, I want another go to take Mew because my last go at Mew sucked. You have to deal with fading to black all over again and the game technically ending. So it's actually kind of a pain to actually go to the Rainbow Cloud.
You can just restart the level.
You have to restart the level. Yeah, exactly.
No, but you can do that like in game.
Yeah, but that's lousy.
I mean, all right. Quit complaining.
Just beat him down.
Quit looking at this game I liked as a child and saying that it's not perfect.
No, I mean, okay, look. I said that this game has no flaws, and I have to defend it, and I'll say that the last level could have been better. Lots of things.
Okay, then it has a flaw.
Lots of games could have done stuff better, but I think that there's no fault in the level. Like saying that something could have been better isn't necessarily saying that it is status bad. Like we could have had 12 levels and 3 islands to go to, and the game would have been better, right? But
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's exactly as long as it needs to be. We've actually been talking about Pokemon Snap longer than it takes to play all of Pokemon Snap. And that's perfect. That's exactly how much Pokemon Snap I need.
Yeah, right.
like if this game ever had a bad part, it would be the last level. And yeah, it would have been cool if we had I think if I was to rebuild the game, sure, I would probably say something like if you took pictures of Moltres and Articuno and Zapdos and stuff, they would show up and fly around in this level. You could take more pictures. That would have been fucking sweet, right? You know.
The craziest thing is it's not like Mew takes that much memory. It's not like there's a technical reason why it's just Mew.
They just chose to make a very specific last level for one thing. And in this time of games, that was kind of fine.
Well, maybe they used up all their resources on the other levels, and all of a sudden they were short because this game has a lot of unique. That's probably not true because like Ocarina of Time has so many more models and so much more layout. I can't imagine. Yeah.
And at this time, it was like 3 or 4 years deep into Pokemon's money train. They had all the dollars.
Yeah, they just.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so on that note. Any last thoughts? Actually, last question for Pokemon Snap. Would you play another Pokemon Snap?
If there was a sequel?
Yes.
I think it would,
of course.
It would really depend what the price point was.
Let's say... Okay, let's start with what Nintendo would charge you.
$49.99.
No.
Yeah,
I would not pay what Nintendo's going to
$60. Yeah, it would be.
Okay. Now... let's say $40.
No, I'm thinking Steam download 10 or lower tops.
$10.
10's the highest I would think about going.
I'd probably think maximum 20.
I would go
I paid
15 max.
I paid $10 for my Pokemon Snap cartridge,
Yeah.
so I paid the right price.
I think that's what I paid for mine too, to be honest.
And it's got a Blockbuster sticker on it. That's stuck.
Can't put a price on that.
Oh.
Nope. It reminds me every time I look at it. I'm like, I could have had some sweet stickers for my Trapper Keeper. So, with that, any last thoughts, Billy?
I still think Pokemon Snap has no flaws, but the last level had an opportunity that it maybe didn't capitalize on as well as opportunities can be capitalized on.
Pete?
I feel like Pokemon Snap is just like, I'll put it this way. You got 2 hours one night, play Pokemon Snap. There are much worse ways you could spend your time.
It's true. ZombiePie.
Other than watching maybe The Prince of Bel-Air on infinite loop, marathoning that, this was the greatest encapsulation of what the 90s were to me, but in visual video game form. It's a game to where it's a perfect snapshot of how big Pokemon was at the time. They could make a spin-off game of this video game multimedia franchise where you're just taking pictures of Pokemon, and it was good, and you played it, and you enjoyed it, and you remember it. That's how big Pokemon was.
It's huge.
Still is, honestly. Like, Pokemon still is huge, but I think it's never going to reach the same apex as it did in, like, right at 2000. Like,
World
Champ. There's not a Nintendogs where it's Pokemon.
Yeah, from, like, 98
they have not... They've not come
yeah.
up with another... Actually, Detective Pikachu is probably the closest thing, but there's nothing that's as weird and... Like, if you told me I was just going to be taking pictures of Pokemon and I would enjoy it, I would laugh at you. I can't think of another game concept where you say, and it's Pokemon, and it would just...
Make it work.
I would just go into it and say, fine, sold. Sure.
Let's do it.
Most of the time, like, it's actually a good game, and then they staple Pokemon to it, whereas this would probably not work.
It's like a rail game where you just kind of look around in like a shitty POV and take pictures of things. What are you talking about? They're Pokemon. Sign me up.
Let's do it.
I'll pay any amount of money you want for this game.
You can play a Poke Flute, and they shake their asses.
Snorlax dance.
Snorlax to make them.
Snorlax got some moves. He's got a booty to shake.
I mean, he got down hard.
You do.
My last thought. I am glad that I used my pick on Pokemon Snap. This is a game that was way too long coming for me to play. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I could throw apples at Pokemon all day. It is still amazing. Knocking Pokemon into lava or water. Just hitting them.
It is like Pokemon Snap is like sort of To Kill a Mockingbird in its way. Like it's one of those things.
Oh God!
Like it's just one of those things you have to experience, and if you like make it to a certain point and you haven't, it is a little strange.
It's also about judging a person by their character and not the color of their skin. That's also a big theme of Pokemon.
Okay.
Everyone knows this. So Pete, it is your turn to pick for next
Yeah.
time.
Okay. So I'm willing to admit I'm not as tapped in, let's say, to the video game zeitgeist as some of my noble co-conspirators. So, Gino, you recommended a game. I'm willing to give you credit. The Witness. I looked at it. I'm intrigued. I'm interested. I think we should run with it.
Okay, The Witness. That is a game by Jonathan Blow, the maker of Braid. It came out. The Witness actually came out last week, I believe. It is a puzzle game. It has a lot of depth, Billy. A lot of different things you can do.
Can I complete the whole game?
Yes, you can complete it. It is a bunch of line puzzles, though I don't know if it rewards you for. I don't know what it does with that.
Can I repeat the same action 30,000 times to get some special like achievement?
Let's hope.
It is all line puzzles.
Let's hope.
What's that mean? Like you slide the boxes to like make a new image?
You move a reticle in a, like there are lines, and you need to make a certain specific pattern to complete the puzzle. But the way you figure out what to do,
like how you
with those
unlock
line
your cell
puzzles,
phone, like that shit.
yes.
Well,
Yes.
I just press buttons on mine.
But the way you figure out how to do it every time is different, and you're on this island kind of a la Myst. ZombiePie, a la Myst.
A la Myst.
Fuck this game. All right, let's do it. I'm gonna need to be drunk.
I think that's not what you want to do. Okay, so thank you once again. If you have feedback, at Deep Listens Pod on Twitter, Deep Listens Podcast at gmail.com.
All your Pokemon questions.
Yep, all your Poke questions, all of your recipes for food. We'll take all of it. Don't put ketchup on your steak.
Oh, bollocks.
It's
Send us
fine.
anything.
Put whatever you
No,
want
it's
on your
not
steak.
Okay. Thank you once again, Billy.
Thanks everyone for having me. Pokemon Snap is a good game. I look forward to playing whatever this next game is.
The Witness.
Witness, yeah, okay. Should be fun. And keep a lookout for more of our bonus content too.
Yes. Thank you, Pete.
Always good to have everybody listen. And thank you for the people who have sent feedback already, but send in some more. You know, it gives an extra layer to our show. It gives us a way to interact with you guys.
Yes, and also rate and review on iTunes.
Do that.
Because that helps us reach more people.
One thing. This is something that was different from the last time we recorded. I don't know if you noticed this, Gino, but you can Google search Deep Listens now, and we come up.
We come up?
Yeah! If you
Google
Google image search Deep Listens, there's like a photo still of every game that we've talked about.
That's crazy.
So if you like do a Google image search of Deep Listens, you're going to get like a photo set of like Fallout and Psychonauts and like Shadow of the Colossus. All that shit is going to come up.
Deep Listens Podcast fills in.
Yeah, look at that.
Also, there's a picture of John McCain and Lindsey Graham debating Syria.
Well, all right, so we can't have it all.
They're not all perfect, but
There's 50 Cent here for some reason. Okay.
Okay, it's because of me putting in my making blogs with it, but that's good. Okay, and also thank you, ZombiePie. Thank you,
Yeah,
Chris.
no problem. No problem. You need your Pokemon needs met, your Pokemon quota. I'm here.
Oak needs his Pokemon.
It was a lot better to do a podcast about Pokemon than Final Fantasy.
Gino.
You just wait.
No.
Final Fantasy IX's almost out on PC. It's coming.
Gino.
You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth right now.
Gino, if you Google search or if you Google image search Deep Listens, the carrot shows up.
Ha!
You're damn right it does.
We never talked about that game. We just talked about the carrot in context.
I used the carrot as one of the images for the blog post
Oh,
I put
God.
of the game.
Our podcast, not podcasts about adventure games.
This is true. So, thank you once again, listeners, for sticking with us through this odyssey of Pokemon. Till next week, we will be playing The Witness. Or not next week, and also the week after that when we're back to talking about The Witness. Thank you. Peace!